Hello everyone. Welcome to my YNR 24 Spoilers Update channel. Kyle is shocked to see that Summer, her true love, is engaged to a new man and rushes to stop her. According to previews on The Young and the Restless, Kyle Abbott might find out terrible information about Summer Newman, which would prompt him to rush to her aid. After leaving Newman in Genoa City for a career that suited her better at the time, Summer found love with a new man. Would things have progressed quickly enough for this man to pop the question? Claire Newman requires some space. By the time Summer left town, Claire and Kyle were on good terms. But now that Claire ended their relationship, it isn't the case. Claire says she needs time to come to her own conclusions. But it's starting to appear that Claire ended her relationship with Kyle in order to see how her friendship with Holden Novak would develop. Since their first day together, Claire and Holden have been attracted to one another. In order to observe how that relationship develops, Claire did make the decision to walk till she is free. For months, Kyle has cultivated Claire as his one true love. Is Kyle able to recognize that Claire is not his true love? Was Kyle truly destined to be with Summer? Claire Newman is all set to go. Claire is sick of doing basically what Kyle thinks she should do and having to be a little Miss Perfect. Claire is sick of playing the nice girl and doing what other people want her to do. Instead, since she was never permitted to do anything as a child, Claire wants to leave the house and experience a little life. No one has the authority to urge Claire to keep her distance from Holden because she is interested in him. The way the show has been written to minimize his bond with Summer has angered fans. Despite the grief that Summer and Kyle have caused to one another, they have always reconciled. Is Kyle going to realize how much he wants Summer back and that she is really the love of his life? Harrison Abbott might reveal engagement information. Since Harrison Abbott is back in town, he might provide his dad with knowledge on his mother and details Kyle hasn't yet been able to obtain. Will Harrison informs his father that his mother is? Kyle will want to know more, of course. Harrison might share more about Mommy and the new guy with his father. What does he desire and how is he? Without a doubt, Kyle will want to know how this man gets along with children. Before allowing this man to be around Harrison, Kyle might insist on meeting him. After all this time, will Summer and Kyle realize they still need to be together and reconcile? Claire is caught up in the chaos when Noah and two members of the Newman family are taken hostage. According to spoilers for The Young and the Restless, Claire Newman's, Haley Aaron, spontaneous excursion to Los Angeles may lead to the kidnapping of two Newman. As Noah Newman prepares to start his own club, will Claire be kept with him? Incorrect time, incorrect place. There must be a reason why Claire and Holden Novak are in Los Angeles at the same time as Noah's new club opens, considering Claire broke up with Kyle Abbott to travel there with him. The tour will probably include some bar hopping, particularly visiting her cousin's establishment, as Holden has promised to show Claire around Los Angeles. Naturally, this will probably be a multi-character umbrella story. The only reason Claire is present is so that she might be drawn into the plot. Will Claire learn from this experience that she doesn't actually need to leave her family circle in order for someone to keep an eye on her? Victoria will undoubtedly be inconsolable due to her concerns for her child. Holden Novak has led an erratic life. Holden enjoyed living on the edge, according to Audra Charles on multiple occasions. At one point, Holden even rescued Audra from a difficult circumstance. Even though Holden assisted her in escaping an illegal environment, Audra acknowledged that he occasionally made her feel afraid. When Audra arrived in Genoa City, she severed her relationship with him. Claire appreciates Holden's attention and the time they spend together. Kyle introduced Claire to certain cocktails, which she also enjoys. Claire hasn't known Holden long enough to accompany him on his trip to Los Angeles, so she hasn't seen the other side of him. Is Holden connected to the events that will take place in Los Angeles? Is Noah Newman's problem linked to Holden Novak? Noah is attempting to open a new club in Los Angeles. But Noah is going to have some problems, and they will be with Detective Burrow and Roger Howarth's character, Sienna Bacall. Rather than relying on Nick and Sharon Newman to look after her daughter, Victoria Newman will have to travel to Los Angeles. Even if Noah is with Victoria, the fact that Claire is being held captive could cause her a lot of distress. When this new plot begins, will Noah and Claire be imprisoned together? Despite Holden's lack of involvement, Kyle will undoubtedly blame him for this. Will Claire and Noah be okay? Kyle was astonished when Summer, his true love, got engaged to a new man. Although Kyle Abbott's life has always been a struggle between the women who shape his identity and the obligations that burden his family name, recent events have completely upended him. Kyle had spent months trying to persuade himself that Claire Newman was the right person for his future. She appeared to be a symbol of security, a new beginning, and even a chance at a different sort of love. One that wasn't based on years of betrayal, heartache, and a convoluted past. However, everyone who has ever followed Kyle's path in Genoa City is aware that he has never been able to break free from Summer Newman's influence. In one way or another, the world has always worked to bring Kyle and Summer back together after they have split up. He is therefore hit like a freight train by the most recent discovery that Summer has not only moved on, but may also be engaged to someone else. When Harrison reveals that Mommy's got a new man, and even suggests an engagement, Kyle is rendered speechless, his thoughts outpacing his ability to express them. Kyle finds it nearly impossible to comprehend the possibility of another guy entering Summer's and Harrison's lives and maybe altering the family dynamic that he has always thought would eventually be fixed. All of his attempts to work with Claire and his insistence that Summer was a part of his history abruptly come to nothing. Perhaps too late, Kyle comes to the realization that Summer is the entire book, not simply a particular chapter in his tale. However, Kyle is not alone in being at a turning point. Because she needs time for herself and to consider the potential of a life with Holden Novak, Claire Newman has decided to end their relationship. Viewers may see that Claire is trying to escape her identity as the girl who had to be flawless all the time. She is sick of enduring the burdensome Newman legacy and the mistakes of her family. She is clearly drawn to Holden because he is a symbol of danger, freedom, and rebellion. The fact that Claire was drawn to him at the exact moment as she pushed Kyle away is no accident. However, Kyle is too preoccupied with the shock of Summer's engagement to even consider the reasons for Claire's initial separation from him. For the first time in months, Summer is the focal point of his universe, rather than Claire. He feels a heat that he hasn't felt in years as a result of the urgency of maybe losing her forever and allowing her to marry someone else. Kyle understands that he might not have another chance if he doesn't take immediate action and stand up for her right away. And it is an intolerable thought. Claire Newman in the middle of chaos in Los Angeles. Claire Newman is caught up in a completely other storm while Kyle is preoccupied with Summer and his intense desire to call off her engagement. She acted rashly, impulsively, and more out of a desire to rebel than any true long-term plan when she and Holden Novak left Genoa City. Holden assured her that she would experience excitement, adventure, and the opportunity to live outside the tightly controlled boundaries of the Newman family's expectations. However, what starts off as an enjoyable trip to Los Angeles soon turns into a risky situation. Claire's cousin Noah Newman is working nonstop in Los Angeles to open his dream club, which has already caught the interest of dubious financiers and dangerous people who prey on the fringes of the nightlife business. Detective Burrow and Roger Howarth's mysterious character, Sienna Bacall, are both circling Noah's business, laying the groundwork for a collision course of treachery, criminality, and corruption. Holden and Claire are puppets in a much bigger game because they happen to walk into the wrong place at the wrong moment. Claire is stuck with Noah in a hostage situation before she even realizes it, facing a much darker reality than she had anticipated when she consented to this brief escape. It's a cruel irony. Claire fled Genoa City to be away from the shadow of her family, but as a result of her decisions, her family is currently in crisis mode. When she finds out that Claire is involved in this disaster, Victoria Newman, who is already traumatized by her daughter's difficult past, becomes extremely concerned. Unable to rely on Nick or Sharon to keep her kids safe, She promptly arranges to travel to Los Angeles. For Victoria, the shaky trust they've reestablished since Claire's repentance is more important than just Claire's protection. All of that might be destroyed by a single mistake or disaster. In the meantime, Holden's actual character begins to show. Holden has a history of perilous entanglements and lives life on the edge, as Audra Charles has already warned. Is it possible that Holden is somehow connected to the mayhem at Noah's Club? Was Holden using Claire as a front to get back in touch with his hazardous friends? Or was this trip to LA really about showing her a good time? As the plot develops, these issues loom big, fostering a climate of fear and paranoia that only serves to increase the tension. Kyle's predicament: Summer or Claire? Back in Genoa City, Kyle finds himself in a situation that no man should ever have to deal with. He must decide between the woman he knows has always been the object of his affection and the one he has persuaded himself he loves now. The decision may seem clear when Claire isn't around, but Kyle's conscience is still bothering him. Does Kyle have any culpability if Holden has led Claire into danger and she is in trouble in LA? After all, he ignored the warning indications of her increasing irresponsibility and emotionally pushed her away before she left. The thought of Summer walking down the aisle with another man, however, keeps coming back to him as he struggles with remorse. These difficult decisions are what make soap operas so successful, and Kyle's circumstance is no exception. Fans are already aware of the impending triangle that is going to blow up. Kyle rushing to prevent Summer's wedding while also getting sucked into the craziness of saving Claire. These narratives colliding is poetic as well as dramatic. Kyle will have to face both ladies and himself in the process. The more comprehensive view, this arc is particularly rich since it weaves together several generations of Genoa City families into a single, overarching narrative. Overlapping stakes bind the Abbotts, Newmans, and even supporting characters like Holden and Audra. By casually disclosing Summer's engagement, Harrison Abbott turns into the naive voice of truth, compelling Kyle to take action. As she races to save her kid, Victoria Newman takes on the role of the terrified mother, reliving previous horrors. In Los Angeles, Noah, who has long struggled to define himself beyond the Newman name, finds his desires actually held captive. Kyle Abbott, the guy caught between love lost, love endangered, and love rediscovered, serves as the emotional fulcrum throughout it all. Ultimately, this story is about identity, heritage, and the clumsy ways we attempt to define ourselves in the face of personal aspirations and family expectations. It is not simply about Kyle and Summer, or even Claire and Holden. Claire desires independence, but she might discover that it carries consequences she isn't prepared to face. Though she may have to acknowledge that no man would ever comprehend her the way Kyle does, Summer longs for a fresh start. And Kyle himself needs to quit avoiding the reality that has been there for years. Summer is his true love, and he might regret it for all time if he doesn't stand up for her now. Kyle deals with the hard truth. Kyle Abbott has always relied on denial as a coping strategy. He convinced himself that Summer's departure from Genoa City was for the best, that she deserved time, independence, and the opportunity to live her life without his interference. He put all of his efforts into Harrison, diverted his attention with Claire, and even persuaded himself that his heartbreak was over. But as soon as it becomes apparent that Summer might be engaged, everything falls apart in an instant. More than any betrayal he has ever experienced, the idea of her pledging her life to someone else stings him. Not only is Summer gone, but they also lost the life they created, the family they envisioned, and the years of history that no fresh love could ever obliterate. Kyle starts to see how futile all of his attempts to move on have been. His heart has always belonged to Summer and always will, and the reality is cruelly obvious. This insight creates urgency rather than tranquility. Kyle feels as though he is a man on loan. The thought of losing her forever haunts him as he relives every event of their past, including their covert marriage, their reconciliations, and their errors. All of a sudden, he is planning how to end the engagement before it's too late. Is he going to attend the announcement party? Will he go straight up to Summer and ask her to change her mind? Or will he arrive too late and see another guy take ownership of the spot Kyle always thought was his? For Kyle, this is about destiny rather than just love. So the pressure is on and the stakes are higher than ever. The conflicted heart of Summer. On the other hand, complex emotions are nothing new to Summer Newman. She has made a lot of effort to move on from Kyle. But the memories of her past with Kyle are always present, regardless of how steady or endearing a new relationship may be. Although this engagement might seem like the next step for her, there are still unanswered questions. Is she making a commitment to show that she is done with Kyle forever, or is she genuinely ready to devote her heart to someone else? The engagement might be more about defending herself against the hurt Kyle has given her than it is about love. Nevertheless, Summer has always been independent, so she might choose to jump if she thinks this man gives her the security Kyle was never able to provide. She is unaware that Kyle is prepared to put up a more valiant and determined fight to regain her. The perilous awakening of Claire. Claire must deal with the fallout from her decisions in Los Angeles, while Kyle spirals in Genoa City. Being in a hostage situation is a wake-up call in addition to being terrifying. Claire understands that her quest for independence has put her in danger since she has seen firsthand how easily freedom can devolve into anarchy. Equally confined, Noah serves as a consoling companion as well as a sobering reminder of the familial bonds she attempted to break. Claire begins to wonder about Holden's involvement in all of this during the scary and uncertain times. Did he intentionally put her in danger? Or is he as caught off guard as she is? Claire is forced to face the prospect that the man she believed to be a symbol of freedom might actually embody everything she has been avoiding, and trust becomes a delicate thread. For anything YNR, come here. For news, spoilers, and updates on the young and the restless, return frequently. For all things YNR, come here. For news, spoilers, and updates on the young and the restless, return frequently. For all things YNR, come here. For news, spoilers, and updates on the young and the restless, return frequently. The hostage situation is a nightmare for the Newmans. Nick's rage, Sharon's resolve, and Victoria's panic all come together in one frantic attempt to get Claire home safely. The repercussions extend back to Genoa City, where Kyle struggles with mixed feelings after learning of the catastrophe. His heart is urging him towards Summer with an irresistible force, but on the one hand, Claire was the woman he believed he loved. It's possible that Claire's experience will unintentionally relieve Kyle of his remorse for abandoning her, providing him with the insight he needs to pursue Summer without hesitation. The course of collisions, the way that love, danger, and familial loyalty are all intertwined in this plot is brilliant. Summer's engagement, Claire's hostage situation, and Kyle's mental collapse are all parts of a bigger picture that will eventually come together. Imagine Kyle rushing to prevent Summer's wedding while Claire is fighting for her life in Los Angeles. He would be split in two by the struggle, and he would have to choose where his heart really belonged. Does he rush to the assistance of the lady he convinced himself was his future? Or does he pursue the woman he knows he cannot live without? In any case, Genoa City will never be the same and lives will be permanently altered. For all things YNR, come here. For news, spoilers, and updates on the young and the restless, return frequently.